stars shining bright above you. Night breezes seem to whisper.
Rendezvous is past those hills in the distance. Just mind that village down there.
All right, lads. Hang on. Here we go.
Left flank. Capture tanks moving into the village.
Steady, lads. We're well behind Jerry's lines now. No way of knowing what we're up against.
That's a cheerful thought.
Come on, lads. We've held together this long. Let's not fall apart now.
Old Bess has got us this far. And she'll get us all the way if we do our bit.
Hello and welcome back to my personal play for Battlefield 1 on the hardest difficulty. And guys, we're about to wrap up through Mud and Blood. This is called Steel on Steel, the very last mission of this campaign. All we have to do is roll through this village, take out a couple of targets, head over to a railroad station, take out those targets, and that's going to end this thing. Now, there's not much different about what you're about to see in this episode than you've seen in previous episodes. But you are going to see me tackle it a bit different. Now, what I mean by that is you're still going to be attacked by, people, foot soldiers, if you will, and tanks. But they're going to be coming in more of an abundance, right? So we have to be careful about where we put our tank, because if you're not careful and you're out in the open, like I said, they all start firing on you at once. The foot soldiers are throwing down grenades. Your tank's going to die pretty fast. So we do have to be a little bit more cautious with this mission than we have in previous missions. But the AI, guys, they're just as dumb as they were before, so they're going to fall for all of our tricks, and trust me, it's not going to be that difficult to get through this when you see where I'm going to be putting the tank strategically to keep you guys away from gunfire. So you just saw me take out one of the big tanks there. Not many foot soldiers in this area, so we're just going to take this left-hand route over here. We're going to get to the left-hand side of the map and roll this way. Don't worry about the mud. I know I told you guys, don't get in the mud. Don't worry about it, not a big deal. We just want to kind of head this way because we want all the enemies to be on the right hand side of us, because that's where all the buildings are. And strategically, we don't want to be getting shot from multiple angles. So I'm keeping all the engagements, like this guy right here, trying to take me out, like right in front of me. You can see right now I'm being attacked from the side, so I back up a little bit. Now I have a wall between me and that enemy so I can repair. Does that make sense? So you just want to always make sure that at least 25% of your tank has cover on it. Now what I mean by that is, like right now I have 25% cover on the right hand side of the tank. My left, back, and front are exposed. But that's going to give you enough time to get away from engagements if you start getting shot, or repair your tank if you start getting shot. You see what I'm saying? Because as long as you're getting gunfire from only one direction, like right now I'm getting gunfire from the direction where I have cover. So even if I didn't have angles on that armored vehicle right there, I could just drive up a little bit and I'd be behind that wall again. Now granted, the wall can be destroyed, but that still buys myself enough time to stay safe. Does that make sense? Like right now the wall is destroyed because that tank shot it, but it gave me enough time to stay safe, if that makes sense. Now that's not even the half of it right there, guys, because that was just a one-on-one engagement. What you're going to see when we get to the end of this clip is that you can use the same level of cover, right, to get to be safe against like 5 tanks at a time, which is great. Because obviously if you were just out roaming around in the open with 5 tanks, you would get destroyed, right? So I'm going to show you how to get through that when we get near the end of this. Now right now I'm just trying to thin these people out. You can see I'm getting shots way off in the distance. So you don't want to go too fast here, because like I said, even though you might only be squared off against 1 tank, if there's 5 foot soldiers to your right hand side and maybe you're aiming at a tank from the front and they all lob a grenade at the same time, that's bad for your tank. And you're going to see that at the end of this clip, where there's actually a section where I'm squaring off against 5 foot soldiers, 4 or 5, and then there's like a tank. There may even be 2 tanks in front of me. I can't really remember. It's been a long time since I filmed this clip, and they all throw a grenade at the same time. And I'm going to show you how to get past that as well. Now what you're going to see right here is me using the terrain to my advantage. You can see that I'm on a hill, right? So it's very similar to a first-person shooter, right? If you're on a hill in a first-person shooter and you pop your head out, you can see the enemy that you're squaring off against. You can see their entire body, but they can only see your face. So it's harder for them to shoot you than it is for you to shoot them. Kind of the same principle. We're just using this incline right here to stay away from enemy gunfire. Does that make sense? And I think here in a second, you're actually going to see that tank, that armored vehicle right there, fire a shot right over me. And what that does is it forces that AI to come to me. And see right there, it fires right over me. It can't get me, but I can still get it. Does that make sense? And it's, like I said, it's the same principle you would use in a first-person shooter if you're like going up some stairs or an incline or something like that. And you can see the AI is just dumb as a brick. So it drives right up there to me and falls off the edge. And you guys know what I'm talking about. We've seen this before with the AI in this game. So again, we destroyed all that, and we're going to go up here to this hill. Now you're going to see another crossfade. Remember, always restart your checkpoints just to make sure all the enemies are reset. For whatever reason, and I don't know if it's this way in every game, and I'm not, guys, I don't develop games. I'm not I don't code games or anything like that, but in my mind, I always feel like that if I can restart a checkpoint in a game, especially when I'm doing a strategy guide, I feel like it puts all the AI back. In other words, we're all looking at the same thing. I feel like if we don't reset our checkpoints, then the enemies may not be in the same spot in your game. So just make sure you restart your checkpoint there. And then what we're going to do is push up to this hill. You'll see right here, I'm going to go straight, and then I'm going to kind of make a U-turn and double back behind this hill. The reason why I want to do that is because there's always a tank that pops out over here on the right-hand side. And we're going to be taking out a lot of targets from way back here in our tank. And the last thing I want is to be shooting at those targets, be hit by the front, and also have that tank hitting me from the right-hand side. Remember, always have at least 25% of your tank covered, okay? That, I mean, honestly, guys, that goes for any game that's this type of war game, a first-person shooter. You always want to have your body protected. You see what I'm saying? You never want to have all your front, your back, your left, and your right exposed, okay? So right here you can see firing awesome shots, long range. I'm using the telephone poles as or the light lines, if you will. I'm using those as a way to measure the arc of my blast, you know, the arc of my shot. So you can see, I mean, you can see it on your screen because I had to kind of gauge it on mine. But if you look at my screen, you'll be able to see about how far or how high you need to be with your shot to be accurate. And then I'm just machine gunning who I can, and I'm just really honestly waiting on this tank to pop out on the right hand side. And I have a really good pair of headsets, so I know I can headphones, so I know I can hear him when he pops out. So I'm not worried at this point until I hear it, and I'm just taking out all these targets. You can blow up a lot of buildings. And when I first started practicing this, what I was trying to do was go onto the other side of the railroad track and take all those targets out, like drive around there. But by the time all these armored vehicles roll up on you, it's really hard to defend yourself on that side. Not impossible, but more tricky than this spot. I found this spot to be kind of magical. You can see right there, I know he's coming, and I've already got him where he can't roll anymore. So this is easy. And he really don't have any shot at hitting me at all. If he does, it'll just be a lucky shot, and I'm just gonna take him out. So you can see why I wanted you guys to be here instead of pushed up, because if you're pushed up, there's not a lot of cover between where we are right now and the buildings, and he could be just pegging you the entire time on your right hand side. See how there's not really much cover between where we are and that building, kind of up and to the right there. So just be careful of that. Another armored vehicle, not worried about that one either. Backing up when I need to. Now what you could do here too, if you do get in a jam, is just keep backing up, you know, all the way to the other side of this piece of cover, because the cover goes all the way around. So you could keep backing up, you know what I mean, turn your wheel and just keep putting your right hand side near that cliff to the right there, and you would stay plenty protected. See how it kind of goes around? You could keep doing that while keeping your target on that vehicle, and you'd be fine. So that's another strategy if for whatever reason that little armored vehicle there starts to give you an issue. Alright, so once you feel like you've kind of cleared people out enough, I think there's a couple of enemies just running around down there. Just make sure there's no vehicles roaming around. Or if there is, make sure there's only like maybe just one. Right? Take your time. You don't want to push up too fast because that could end you real quick, okay? Because like I said, there's not a lot of cover right here, so be careful. And I think there's this one guy, I think this is a funny clip coming up right here. If I remember this, there's one guy that I just could not shoot. And I finally blast him with the big cannon. I think it's this dude. Yeah. I take this target out. And, oh yeah, when I push up right here, there's gonna be a guy near this fence. And I cannot shoot this dude. At one point I was pretty sure that I shot him, but I think he got saved by the fence. Like, I literally shot the fence, and it, like, look at this dude. I cannot shoot this booger. Look at him. Look at him. And I'm like, okay, I'm about to kill him right here. Okay, boom, he's dead. I clearly shot him. He falls down. I can't kill him. Like, I can't kill him. And then I finally get so upset at him, I still can't get him. I say, you know what? I'm just gonna put the big cannon on him. Boom, son. So he died. He died. All right, so once you finish all that, just keep rolling up this way. Now, what I'm showing you here is you don't really have to take this part out. I just like watching stuff explode. But I also want to show you that you can see that all the buildings are collapsed on the interior right there. What we're gonna do in a second is we're gonna do what we always do. We're gonna restart our checkpoint. And that is going to not only reset the enemies, which we like to do, but it's going to reset the buildings as well. So if for whatever reason when you were going through here, now you're not really going to be destroying a lot of buildings, but you get my point. If they've been shooting at you and a lot of those buildings are destroyed, you can reset the buildings, the structures, so you have more cover. Because what I'm going to do is show you in a second where we're going to go. And you need all the cover you can get when I show you the spot we're going to be at. So if those buildings are down, you definitely want to restart your checkpoint. Maybe not so much in this section to reset the enemies, because the enemies come down a long road. So you don't really have to reset that because you know where they're coming from. But you definitely want to reset those buildings if you don't have ample cover. Like right now you can see all these buildings over here are still intact. If all these buildings were destroyed, you'd want to restart your checkpoint. So I threw that in there just so you could see my process behind that. And like I said, pretty much anytime you have an opportunity to reset your checkpoint, especially if you're following this guide along with me, definitely do it, because 9 times out of 10 I'm always restarting the checkpoint. You can see right here another tank. I'm gonna just keep backing up, using all this stuff to my for my protection. You can see this is the part I was telling you about earlier, where I have those 4 or 5, I think there's 4 or 5 guys. Here comes the grenades right here. I'm not worried about one grenade, but I know that I'm worried about multiples, and here they come. So all you gotta do, guys, is just back up. Back up. Now what I would normally do here if I didn't kill these enemies is I would drive forward again, let them toss at me again, and then continue to back up. Or if they toss at me here, I just drive forward. Does that make sense? And then the grenades just kind of fall off the tank, and then you survive. Now obviously if all 3 of those things goes off, that's not good. So we gotta be careful of that, right? And then just make sure this tank is destroyed. And it should be one. Yeah, there's a small guy right there. We're gonna take him out, and then as soon as you get the objective complete, like I said, if you don't have ample cover, go ahead and restart your checkpoint. You're gonna see the crossfade right here, and I've reset my checkpoint. Okay, so what we're gonna do, you can see all the buildings are back intact, right? So like I said, if you didn't have cover, make sure you do that. And all we're gonna do now, as soon as you get in from the checkpoint, go as fast as you can to the spot that I'm gonna show you. And all we're gonna do is go ahead and start shooting the tanks while they're in the back of the map, or the armored vehicles I should say. We're gonna start shooting them while they're coming down a road, because what we're gonna try to do is bottleneck them. Okay, you're gonna see that right here. You see they're coming, but you can shoot them now. And notice that I've got my crosshair just about level with the lines, the light lines there, right? And I'm able to go ahead and start shooting them. Boom, and they'll stop and they'll try to back up and go around people. It's just real shoddy AI in my opinion. You would think that because I can shoot them, they'd be shooting at me already. You see what I'm saying? But they wait for the longest time to start shooting at me, and I just think that I would have programmed them to start shooting me way back there. But they don't, and they'll back up on top of each other, and you'll see here in a second, this first one, like right now it's immobile, or I think after this shot, it becomes immobile. And then when I finally destroy it, there's a crater that gets made right there. And then the back armor, look at this dude running in the walls like I don't know, man. You'll see right here. Boom, now he falls in the crater. He's trying to back out and go. It's just really bad AI, guys. For this to be a war game, I just thought it would be tougher. And I think there's one more dude left. And I just thought that especially on the hardest difficulty, I thought it would be a whole lot tougher. But it's just not, guys. And you'll see that throughout the entire personal play. I actually questioned whether I was going to do a strategy guide on this or not. But I know I have a lot of Battlefield fans for the channel, and I figured I would just do it. But to be honest with you, if you're pretty confident with the shooter type game, you shouldn't have any issue getting through this stuff on your own. But just in case, I figured I would go ahead and do a guide for it. And that pretty much wraps up the chapter, guys, and that wraps up Through Mud and Blood as well. So we're gonna head down here. There's gonna be a cutscene, and then I'll let you guys see that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys be good.
Oh no. Don't you go thinking you can drop dead on us now.
I'm fine, boys. Just all the fun. Come on now.
Artillery!
Are you okay, Edward? Sorry, Bex. Edward.
So, what do we do now, driver?
We walk.